Hello and namaste everyone. Welcome to the brand new episode of RightCast. In today's episode, we have Liam and Varun from Yorkville University. So let's welcome them in our show. Hi Varun, hi Liam. Thank you so much for coming to RightCast and welcome to RightCast.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so I want to start this conversation on a very lighter note. So when I talk about Canada, the very first thing that comes to my mind is cold weather. So why should a student select Canada despite being really cold? To be precise, I want to know what are the benefits of studying in Canada.
For sure. I think it's a very common misconception that Canada is just cold, right?
Absolutely.
Canada is the second largest country on the planet. It is the second largest landmass, and because of that, you have a range of climates, of diversity within the geography. We've got mountains. Nepal has some pretty good ones too, but I would say Canada's got some really nice ones. But we've also got palm trees. We've got crystal clear water. We've got the highest tides in the world. We're surrounded by 3 oceans. So although parts of Canada can be very cold, most of Canada has 4 very consistent seasons, a very consistent climate where students, as they study, the weather will change and it will obviously have your spring, summer, winter, and fall. So on the west coast of Canada in British Columbia, it will be more temperate. To the more northern regions, it will obviously be colder. And then towards the east coast, it will be a similar climate to what you might see in the United Kingdom, for example.
Okay, so Varun, what's your take on why should students study in Canada?
Well, to be honest, I think Canada is the only country wherein if a student is looking for his future, completing his graduation, especially bachelor's, after bachelor's, he can, think of like getting himself settled there. And I don't personally think that any other country is giving that opportunity to the student, to be honest. And I believe firstly that Canada is much safer. I've been there and I've seen student life, which is really safe, and students feel really lively in the cities like Toronto and Vancouver.
Okay, so Liam, I want to ask you one question, and that is about the recent changes in Canada. I want to know what is province attestation letter and why is it important?
Yeah, so obviously as a study destination, Canada has become very popular very quickly. 10 years ago, we weren't even in the top 10 for receiving destinations. And last year, we almost overtook the United States in terms of total volume. Canada is 1/10 of the size and has 1/10 of the number of schools. So really it became a little untapped. It kind of was like a runaway train and things got too big too fast. So knowing that we still have a strategy to welcome international students and we want to continue being one of the top markets in Canada, it was important for us to rebalance the portfolio, similar to what the UK and Australia did 10 or 15 years ago. So by implementing the provincial attestation letters, basically the federal government has said each province can have this many number of students. Then the provinces have come to the schools and said each school, you get this many. And that's based on labor market demands, domestic versus international ratios, how many international students that particular province can support. So now the process is when a student is applying to an institution in Canada, they also need to have the provincial attestation letter, which basically is a countdown from the province to say, okay, we've reached our quota. And that will allow the students to then apply for their study permit with both their LOA, their fee receipt, and their provincial attestation letter. Depending on the size of the province, some provinces got more, some got less. Some types of institutions, based on their programs, got more or less. But at the end of the day, at Yorkville, we're blessed that we managed to get such a fantastic number in both Ontario and British Columbia, because we are the only university in Canada with DLIs in multiple provinces. So it gives us, I think, a fantastic benefit.
Okay, so I have a question to Varun about when I researched about the universities in Canada, I saw that there's public university and private university. So I also heard that we should apply to public university because the visa ratio is really high. But when I researched about Yorkville University, despite it being private university, the visa success is really high. So what is the equation between private university and public university?
I have the answer, but I really want Liam to answer this. Why? Because of obvious reasons.
Yeah.
You know?
No, so it's a great question,
Yeah.
and obviously with the team here, we've managed to do a great job promoting both public and private. And at the end of the day, Canada's education system was created on the basis of a public education system. You knew you were getting high quality, consistent education with public. But as the years have gone on, the investment from the government into public institutions has become less and less. And therefore, you're seeing more private institutions start to show up in Canada because of the funding model. And now there's less of a blur between the lines of which one is better, which one is worse. Now it's more so about what is the better type of school for the student. Privates tend to be a bit more flexible, a bit more accessible, and a bit more affordable. Publics tend to be, you know, your traditional 4-year bachelor's, 2-year master's, research-intensive institutions with larger campuses. And with those larger campuses, that includes larger costs, operating costs, and typically higher tuition. So now the line is being blurred. Canada provides consistent high quality education at all of our institutions because we have to be accredited by the government. But the difference from student A to student B, their finances, their family situation, their background, their study plan, it's important for them to pick the school that will give them the opportunity to get what they're looking for. And because of that, we're seeing study permit approval rates almost equal between the institutions. But at the end of the day, what IRCC cares about the most is the student profile. They're not really looking at the school as much, they're looking at the student. Does it make sense for them to go to this school for this program? Do they have the finances, the language requirements, the study plan, the statement of purpose, the SOP? Provided the student profile is right, the institution should fit that as well, and you'll have similar approval rates.
Okay, so now I want you guys to highlight on why should student select Yorkville University. So if I ask you 3 major reasons why should students select Yorkville University, what would be your answer?
Number one,
we are really fast in terms of getting them the offer letter, because I personally believe that, you know, when we talk about Canada, there are a lot of schools I know that, in fact, universities, if I talk about, because we are a university, the turnaround time on the offer letter is like approximately 5 to 6 weeks. And sometimes because of this turnaround time, students miss on their intakes. But here at Yorkville, we do understand that every student has the right to come early and study bachelor's at Yorkville, and that is how our turnaround time is as low as like 3 to 4 working days. So that's the number one.
Number two, I think the return on investment. Right? Education is an investment. Investment
Definitely.
in yourself, your future, your opportunities. And the word investment typically means cost. Right? So the world is getting more expensive, education is expensive. So it's important for a student to find the balance between what they're paying and what they're getting. And Yorkville is one of the more affordable universities that you'll find in Canada. The average cost of our BBA, for example, for a student in Nepal, with the $10,000 bursary we'll give them, is about 67,160 Canadian dollars, compared to a public institution, which is on average currently 36,000 per year. So times that by 4, and you're looking at 140, 150,000.
It's way high.
So you've got speed as number one, you've got affordability as number two, and I think flexibility is probably number 3.
Absolutely, and flexibility, why we say that we are flexible and accessible, because when we talk about bachelors, majorly in Canada, bachelors, the duration is 4 years. But at Yorkville University, we give the student the opportunity to complete that bachelor in just 2.5 years as well. I mean, if the student wants, they can fast track it and complete it as low as 2.5. If not 2.5, then 3. And if not 3, then 4. So it's the student choice that, you know, how soon he wants to complete the bachelor's.
Okay, that's great. So I also want to know about the, international students are facing a lot of problems regarding financial management. So is there any financial aid that Yorkville University provides to its students?
Yeah, so the first one is that all students that get admitted to Yorkville will be granted a $10,000 bursary.
Is it for every student?
For every student that
That's
is
great.
admitted, they'll get a $10,000 bursary. Now, we're very particular with how that bursary is offered to a student, and we actually apply it majorly on the first 3 terms. That allows the first year cost to be 15,000 Canadian dollars. A student hasn't got to Canada yet. They're not settled. They don't have a job. They need the comfort of a lower cost in the first year. Then after the second year, moving into the second year, we offer installment plans. Not a lot of Canadian universities will offer a student the ability to pay by term, or we even go one step further, pay by month.
That's amazing.
It's amazing, it really is, because then that breaks their fees down into about $2,400 a month with 0 interest. So they can utilize their part-time work to help recover some of those costs. They can work with their families to manage the finances a bit better. And then all of a sudden the student has balance. They're not stressed financially, they're not stressed personally, they're able to focus on school because that's the priority, right? It's a study permit,
Yes,
and it's
definitely.
important for them to be successful in school. If they're not stressing about finances, they're not stressing about their work schedule, they're more likely to be successful.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So when I talk with international students, what they see is like they want to know about the graduate employability rate of any university. So I want to know what's the graduate employability rate of Yorkville University and also the popular courses of the university.
So we have amazing programs at Yorkville University. We have specializations. When we say just BBA, it's not just BBA. It's BBA in project management, BBA supply chain management, BBA accounting, BBA energy management. I mean, if even I talk about my energy management as a program, which is like one of the most unique and one of the most uncommon program across the globe. It's just not Canada. And even if I talk about Canada, there are only 3 schools and one is Yorkville, providing this kind of a specialization to students because, future. If we look at the future is all about geography, environment, electricity, gas. Plus, if we have a blend with management, that gives, enhanced skills to the student to get a good job after their graduations as well. And honestly speaking, all our bachelor degrees, including Bachelor of Interior Design, all our degrees are professionally designated. And when you say professionally designated, it means that generally in Canada, if you want to have accreditation by PMIs, Project Management Institutes, you pay for it. But here at Yorkville, you're getting that accreditation along with the bachelor degree that we have, project management.
And I think going one step further as well, a lot of schools will talk about their graduate employment rates. 96% of students employed within 3 months. You see that marketing all the time. But what a lot of schools don't talk about is where are those students employed, right? As an institution, we're not looking for our students to graduate with a bachelor's degree and then work in retail. Right? You don't need a degree to work at Starbucks or Tim Hortons. So our priority is students getting higher level positions, getting into accounting firms, into banks, into consulting firms, securing a solid entry level job where they're getting a good salary to recover the cost of their education, but also to start moving up the ladder in their life. So we've just done a series of testimonials with a lot of our students from South Asia, some students from Nepal, India, Bhutan, and they all talk about our career services. I managed to get a job because Yorkville's career services helped prepare me. Because we're going to give you the skills of a degree, right? We're going to teach you about accounting. We're going to teach you about interior design. But we're also going to teach you how to use that in the real world. And I find not a lot of schools will do that. They'll just give you the degree or the diploma, and then the student has to figure it out after. We're going to coach them on how to do interviews. What does a North American LinkedIn profile look like? How do you build a resume or a cover letter? And these students in the testimonials, they're all talking about the confidence they were given by our career services team to be successful getting that job. Or they got 3 references and they were able to secure a better position. Some of them had jobs even before they graduated, right? So that's really what's most important for us, securing higher level positions in the industry that they're getting educated in.
Okay, so I want you to highlight about the location of Yorkville University, at the same time the academic requirement and the English proficiency requirement as well.
Well, the location, will add an S onto the end of that because
Yeah.
we have multiple.
Absolutely.
So Yorkville is the only university in Canada that is provincially recognized in 3 provinces: New Brunswick, Ontario, and British Columbia. And then on top of that, we are the only university in Canada with a DLI in Toronto and Vancouver. So students have the ability to choose the Yorkville Advantage, but based on their location of choice. Toronto is obviously, you know, the finance hub of Canada. It's the most multicultural city in the world. 80% of people in Toronto were born outside of Canada. It is bustling, it's big, there's opportunity. But then on the other side, you've got Vancouver, which has some of the best weather in Canada. Maybe a student from Nepal loves seeing the mountains every day. They're going to get that in Vancouver as well. So they are a little more settled based on the location. But either area, there's amazing South Asian communities. They'll find their own community as well as a whole bunch of other ones as well. And that's what really helps them get settled and be successful. And then Varun, for academics?
Absolutely. Like I've always mentioned that Yorkville is really flexible. We actually say it's your university, it's your path with Yorkville. So if I talk about my IELTS requirement, we accept overall 6 with each band 6. And we also accept PT, which is overall 50 with each band, no band less than 50.
Okay.
We also accept TOEFL, which is overall 73. And we do accept students who have more than 50% in their grade 12. So from Nepal, I would say a GPA of 2.5 and more will give them admission.
Okay, so is there any master's program in Yorkville?
Not yet, but soon. So we are continuing to evolve as a university and adding programs that are really related to the labor demands, right? We don't just want to add every program and not have that equal a job or an outcome for a student. So moving into next year and into years after that, we'll have a whole variety of postgraduate programs being offered. The first one will be an MBA that will likely be launched in January of 2025, and then perhaps a Master's of Information Technology Management, moving into a bit of psychology, some data analytics, maybe even some additional engineering management. So there's a variety of programs that we're really looking at to make sure that our students are getting educated, but also getting opportunity.
Okay, so if a student wants to apply to Yorkville University now, which intake is available for them?
So we have October 2024 intake for the students, and after October we have Jan 2025.
Okay.
Actually, we have rolling intakes. Every 3 months we have intakes. So in summer, I mean, usually in Canada, you have 3 intakes, Jan, May and September. With Yorkville, student gets the opportunity to have more intakes like Jan, April, July and October.